Shaun Clarida wants to compete in both the 212 bodybuilding and the open at the same time at the 2026 Olympia. He wants to be in both categories. And this is exactly what I said in the Japan Pro video a couple of days ago. And Clarida, listen to me, I'll play you a clip. He won in open bodybuilding, that means he can compete at the Olympia in 26. Could he compete in both? That would be awesome. I don't know if that's allowed at the pro level. It's not common, but if I were Clarida, I would do it. Clarida did see my video and said, wow, that's true. I'm going to compete in both. If Clarida saw my video, he'd probably show up at my door and bite my ankle or something. It's interesting because after this Japan Pro competition, after beating Florian and Joan, they interviewed him. And in that interview, he expressed his desire to compete in both categories and that he knows the rules don't allow it. I had that doubt, asked about it in the Japan video, some mentioned it, and Clarida has just confirmed it for me. The rules don't allow you to compete in two categories at the same time as a professional, while as an amateur you can, which I find a little absurd. An amateur bodybuilder can compete in men's, classic, open, and even 212 on the same day if he makes the weight for each, allowing him to enter 4 categories and see if he wins any. I've seen amateurs compete in both classic and men's at once, but in the professional ranks, you cannot compete in classic and men's, or whatever you want in the same competition. At the Olympia, you apparently have to compete in only one division. So Clarida is currently in a dilemma. He either competes in open, or he competes in 212. Obviously, he has to compete in 212, which is where he can win, not in open. Well, however, maybe Clarida gets into the open with his 80 kilos and the judges say, wow, well, I think Clarida has to win, huh? The main point is that Clarida is demanding a change in the competition rules.
But I hope things can change, you know? Maybe the powers that be will see this and realize how exciting it would be. I hope the fans will support it and also promote it, and hopefully the Manians will decide to let me do both. Open and 212.
Clarida says in this interview that he already won in open and qualified in 2021. He won the Legion Sport Fest and also qualified in 212. And for 2026, he wants to compete in both at the same time. Even if it's not allowed, he wants the International Fitness and Bodybuilding Federation leaders to change the rules. His and the fans' pressure could make it happen, which would benefit everyone. And he ends by saying that hopefully the Manians will let me do both, and he's pressuring the organization to change the rules. In recent times, the rules have always been evolving, constantly changing, and I think they could do it once again. I don't see a problem with it, since I'm not giving my harsh opinion now. This time, I'm siding with Clarida. If he has won an open competition, which is really tough, and he's also qualified in 212 for being Mr. Olympia, he can choose which one to compete in, but why can't he compete in both? What difference does it make to them? It's just another man in the open category, plus he's a Mr. Olympia. If he's earned the right to compete in one, why not both? I don't think this does any harm. On the contrary, it could make the category more interesting. It could make it more entertaining or more appealing to watch. And I think it's fairer because he has won, he has achieved it, he deserves it regardless of whether he is going to win or if he is going to finish last. I don't care. And actually, you already know my opinion, I think he is too small. He shouldn't easily beat open bodybuilders who outweigh him by 30 or 40 kilos of muscle. Actually, he shouldn't even be in Open Olympia's top 10. I don't care if he finishes last, I still think he should compete. I think this rule change would be very interesting, but not just because of Clarida, but also because some classic competitors could do the same. Let's imagine that right now Dino competes in the Classic Olympia, but that same year he previously won an Open Pro Show, something he could easily do. Imagine we have Dino competing in Classic or Mike Sommerfeld. Okay, Dino and Mike competing in Classic. Winning the Olympia and making the top 10 in Open, beating some big guys, would be absolutely incredible and mind-blowing. I mean, imagine if the Olympia changed that rule and you could compete in both. We could even think about other 212 set. Besides Clarida, like Keon Pearson, Lucas Garcia, Nihat Kaya, the top guys in the world. If any of them win an open show before the 212 Olympia, they could compete in both if they made this rule change, since they would have qualified for both. We can even take this discussion a step further. I don't think any 212 competitor meets the classic weight, but Kuri Chopara, a top 212 competitor, isn't that big either. He might make the weight. He could compete in Classic if he wins a show in each, even someone like Mike Sommerfeld, who's the number 2 in the world in Classic. He could compete in 212 since his weight limit is about 96 or 92 kilos. That is, he would fit perfectly in the 212 category. If Mike wins a 212 show while already qualified for the Classic Olympia as the world's second, he'd want to compete in both 212 and Classic. Careful, I'm not saying he'll win both, but he could end up first in Classic and second or third in 212, and I think that would be amazing. It would be interesting if the rules let you compete in both if you qualify. Some might ask, isn't that the point of categories? Yes, of course. If you win a category, you fit it. You're either made for it, suitable, or have the right level. It depends how you see it. Of course, it would be fairer since it's already difficult to achieve and holds great merit. And if someone manages to do it, win competitions in a category that's not theirs, I think they should be rewarded. And I think it would be very interesting to watch, very fun, and it would even raise the level. Imagine you are in 212 and Mike Sommerfeld shows up. Even imagine in the Open that Josema decides to compete if he happens to win an Open competition. Anyway, Clarida has a lot of power, a lot of connections. I think they can pressure the International Fitness and Bodybuilding Federation, and it might listen and make the change. I hope so. I support Clarida's position now. I think they need to change the rules and allow a bodybuilder to compete in both professional categories if he has qualified for them. I think it's fairer. Share your thoughts in the comments. That's all for now. Goodbye. See you next video.